Alright, good evening, good morning, Star Wars CCG fans. Jared Napolitano here, marketing advocate for the PC. I am about to do a stream for the 8th match of the 3rd, biennial Outrider Cup. We have Koen from the Netherlands versus Mike from Atlanta in this matchup. Mike Kessling / Troop 1023 and Koen Mejen. I apologize, I'm probably saying that wrong. AKA Steve _Boos or Steve Buscemi. Loaded the wrong deck, so that's going to be a problem. So they can. Okay, if they cancel the game, it should be fine. Yes, definitely cancel, don't concede. So looks like they're going to iron this out. Yeah, don't concede. Yeah, because if they concede, they're not going to be able to play it again in the same league, and that's going to be a pain. So, all right, so let's head back out. Thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully they're able to fire this off without issue. Right now, the Team USA is up 5-2 in the series. I get first to 7 wins out of the 12 will win the event, and looks like they don't have an issue restarting, so that's good. I think if they concede, it counts as the match being played, and then you can't play the same opponent in the same league with the same sides of the force. So we have Matt versus Yoda Communing. I don't think Yoda Communing is much of a surprise for Mike. I mean, none of these are surprises because they were announced a couple weeks ago, but I say that meaning Mike has played this deck pretty often in some pretty big scope events. And Koen, I haven't seen him play map as much, but maybe I am not, maybe it's just my blind spot. He starts the Gick effect, aka mind tricks don't work on me, so I know I've seen that being played in map decks more so now. 6-12 months ago I didn't see that played as often, but must be I'm sure there's a good reason for it, and I apologize if my commentary is a little off or dated. I have unfortunately not been able to play as much as I would like to lately, or stay up on the meta as much as I would like to. But hopefully I can still diagnose and offer some value here, and at the very least do some play-by-play. So Mike's doing the. I guess this is a pretty usual. You see this a lot in Yoda Communing, Jedi Business, and then the squadron assignments to match up some ships. Usually Farm Boy Luke or Rebellion's Hope Luke in space, and then of course Walkling, which is pretty much always started by the light side. Dark always starting out of the First Order, which is not required, or maybe it is required by the starting interrupt, but not by the objective. The agent, let's see, I probably should. Anakin Skywalker is the resistance agent for light side, so that makes sense that he's going to be on it. That just illustrates that Luke is going to be in space. They're anticipated to be in space. As always, let me know if there's anything up with the video or anything with the audio, and I'll try to troubleshoot as soon as possible. I actually just switched to a hardwire internet right before this, so shouldn't have any connection issues, as we just have our early game stuff going on here. So just starting interrupts and effects revealed. Koen is going through his first turn. Starkiller base. We'll pull the site. This is the one that's force drain +1 with a first order leader, which is Kylo's at turn 1, so some early pressure. I guess. Well, he's going to get the pull from the use pile, and then he can deploy Kylo's lightsaber if it is in the reserve deck, which he's going to know whether or not it is, or perhaps it's in his hand. And just immediately start putting pressure on Mike to threaten a drain of 3. He pulled the free shield as it goes by, Imperial Detention. I guess that'll come into play for the R2-D2 in Red 5, which allows Luke of ability less than 5 to deploy for free aboard. So that'll make him cost 2, which early game that's pretty that has more value than late in the game. The lightsaber comes out from the hand, and he just passes the turn, saves none, 8 in hand. Looks like no, I must be allowed to speak in here, so that's not going to come into play. Leia's resistance transport, if Mike is playing that. We'll have the 2 force cover charge, we'll call it, instead of just being straight up for free. Just a teaser. I'm going to reveal a card image spoiler for an alternate image for upcoming events. These are for the majors. The Eclipse event, which is going to be, I think it's the first full weekend in April. And then also the Ithor Regional, which, from my understanding, is going to be the first event of Star Wars CCG in Spain in a pretty long time. And then it's also going to be used for the Ryloth Regional, which will be in the Netherlands. I think that's in April. Ithor is in middle of March. So yeah, we'll use that AI. It's a really, really great AI. I'm excited to share it. All right, so Camino comes out. No surprise. Camino's going to download the 2.0, presumably. I imagine this matchup we're going to see some battles. We got, in Mike's deck, I'm sure we have a Mace and a Qui-Gon for the ground. Perhaps like a Kit Fisto. Anakin, also, as we saw at the beginning, is probably going to be on the ground. As we know, with Yoda Communing, you cannot deploy Jedi Knights, maintenance cards, or EPP cards. Immunity attrition is capped to less than 4, but then it's really effectively less than 6 because of Yoda's hut, of course, which will give me a chance to plug. That is the 24-month, the AI of that 24-month incentive for subscribing to the PC Twitch. So please check that out. If you don't do that, you can do it for free if you have an Amazon Prime. Here we have the reveal as anticipated, and yeah, so it's all 6 force. Okay, so that's going to prevent Mike from saving any or drawing any. Since he had to play the 2 more so than he would if the shield had not been pulled battle plan. But yeah, if you're interested in the Twitch, you can go a couple ways. You just go forum.starwarsccg.org, go to the announcements forum, and it's one of the pinned posts there. Or you can just go to starwarsccg.org and just search in the search box, just search Twitch incentive, and it should come up pretty quickly. All right, so Coward is out by Koen, so that's going to prevent if Mike were to top deck a key card, he can't immediately walk laying it back because he's not on 2 battlegrounds. Do or do not is played, so we got each player pulling 3 shields so far. Spectre, I might have been babbling as this came out, of course. So Phantom Menace is canceled, lose no force to Kylo or Kylo's lightsaber, and you can take him into hand if Kylo or Kylo's lightsaber was just lost. So pretty what's the word? As expected, Koen is going to pay 3 to drain for 3 at the Starkiller base control station, or shield control, that's what it's called. And Mike is going to top deck all 3 cards, so he does a blaster deflection. A 3PO is the last card, which you'd think is pretty critical to Mike's deck, but as I just mentioned, he can't just immediately walk laying it back. Wonder why Anakin's resistant age rather than Rey. Probably plays 2 of each. He's supposed to be the chosen one. I'm just going to follow the chat here. So I'm wondering if Mike is going to feel some pressure to try to get in a position to retrieve that 3PO. Just get to a second battleground and then immediately pop the walkling. Or Yoda, his game text, once per game may retrieve 1 force. So he could do that and preserve the walkling. But I guess it just kind of, it's changing the odds. So this card's been showing up more lately in events. So Mike is going to place out of play an interrupt that he just saw during Koen's failed battleground, and we lose Comscan detection. V, very strong card, stops a lot of pesky stuff that Lightside does, like Force Drain with a Lone Falcon, play Dodge, think I can handle, or Starship Weapons, so, or Protect Jyn. So that tells me Mike probably has Jyn in his deck, and he probably, or perhaps, I would say probably has an X-Wing laser cannon as well. So that also, of course, has synergy with, Yoda reducing the attrition by 2. This can reduce the battle destiny by 1 as the other function besides the place out of play on a verify. And then I think everyone's pretty aware now that Team New Allies, which of course Mike is on, are big fans of the 2 copies of their Tracking Us V, which can also subtract 1. So it's kind of like Mind What You Have Learned. Mind What You Have Learned's annoying destiny manipulation ported over to a more mainstream deck is how I would describe it from afar. But yeah, so Darkseid might draw a pretty high destiny, but it's like, -1, -1, -2 to attrition, and it's a pretty solid way to keep cards on the table. Since if you're playing like tanky Jedi, they're more expensive to deploy. A lot of value in keeping them just on the table rather than letting them die and replacing them. The other thing, so Anakin keeps his immunity. Only Luke loses the immunity if he is the resistance agent. So Koen's going to replenish his hand here, go to 13, save 2, and presumably Mike's going to... He's only activating 11, so I think this is a decision here. Only 6 in hand, whether he's going to pay to drain or not. Of course, this is strength of schedule. It's not a differential match or gamer, and that doesn't play into the whole event here as well. So I'm sure Mike and Koen, both being excellent players, they are looking at the full scope of this match and being like, hey, is forcing 2 damage through here, is that worth the precious turn 2 3 light force? So Mike is going to make the decision to do that, as Koen played turn it off to play resistance, so he's still got 1 more shield pull in his bag. Koen's going to toss the starting interrupt from hand and turn it off from use pile. So he probably figures Lando can't be played. Actually, no maintenance cards can be played, so that function's really not going to come into play at all. And he already got his extra starting effect. So, and of course he can, once he flips, he can stack interrupts and play them, and then place them out of play is the backside here, right? Once or during your turn, if Kylo on table during your turn may stack an interrupt from lost pile. And I will finish, and once per turn you may play it as from hand. So I don't think he's too worried about shields right now. So as we see, a couple things here. Kessling gets out the shield generator core, and this I think is the word on Yoda, is that it doesn't start super fast with icons, but it gets up there pretty quickly once you get Jedi Masters out, once you get a second turn or third turn to deploy some locations. You're giving up a lot of icons, but or more than a typical main stack would do. And Bosch comes out, and then that's where that placing out of play the comp scan pretty valuable, because now Koen can't just play the comp scan and be like, okay, Bosch is lost. So it's a chance that Koen's playing 2 of those, but Mike being able to undercover spy that drain is a pretty good change in tempo here. Let me get caught up a little bit on the chat here, making sure Poop comp scan has a lot of 3POs on lost pile, as you can see. That's pretty crucial. Undercover spies, I know Mike's Outrider Cup teammate Hayes Hunter has talked many times throughout the years about the peskiness of undercover spies. All right, so yeah, good point in the chat by, I think that's Cedric Calaglin, who's another Outrider Cup participant for Team EU. Now that Mike doesn't save any force, so that's where, and of course it's a little tough to anticipate it all, but the sight coming out, because Mike spent that 3 force, his hand is pretty small still, and now Koen is going to be able to just move Kylo over. It's only going to be a drain of 2 instead of 3, but I guess in a way that kind of traded off. They're at now 14 to 15 icons. And then Bosch was, 6 to deploy, right? She's pretty pricey. So yeah, he basically spent that entire turn. He forced through 2 damage, deployed Bosch, and drew 2 cards. But he probably has it there tracking us. It was even with 7 cards, so he can activate. So maybe we'll see it now. If Mike has it, he'll play it. They're tracking us to activate a force, and then have it still in that move over, and he doesn't. So looks like Koen's going to replenish his hand. He's got lots of force in his force pile. Nowadays we have the soft cap of 15 cards because of the shield that acts as a way to constrain the opponent's hand. I should know the name of that off the top of my head. I think was it thrown back and drop, or is it the other one? Yeah, I think it's drop and thrown back. Drop V, the shield, and thrown back V. So Koen's got a pretty strong hand here. He has barely anything on the table as we enter Mike's turn 3. Yeah, I see Dan plugging as Betmouse, his right-hand man for promoting he's the promoter for the Gem PC. He's the Don King to Betmouse's Mike Tyson. But here's the AI for the Gem PC, in case anyone's not aware. This is Admiral Radis AI. This is really cool. We call it like a semi-border breaking. And with the Radis and the colors, it came out really good. The ZAM for the Jawa Cup and for the Outrider Cup participants, it still looks really good, but because the edges of it are a little darker, it doesn't pop quite as much as this one. I think this one works really well because you have the sides here with the turquoise or the aqua, whatever color you want to call it. So yes, sign up for that. Today's the last day. I'm sure getting to a nice round 128 number for the bracket would be pretty cool. So let me stop promoting stuff and get back to the action. So Kessling did a peek at the beginning of his turn, put through his 2 damage. Koen tossed a Masterful Move combo and Force Push V from off the top, Masterful Move from hand. Master Yoda deploy another Battleground, so he's going to whiff. Just to verify, probably not. Maybe there's the other Naboo site, but otherwise I don't think there's any more. Mike reinforces the Battleground system, the only Battleground system on the table with Han Shui, Falcon V. Unita got back 3PO, so that's big. And I think Mike, maybe he puts, no he can't put, there's no more passenger slots. So, I mean, one of the benefits of putting 3PO in space is then he can't get Restraining Bolts, because Restraining Bolt only goes on droids at sites. But Mike is going to not deploy 3PO this turn, because he's really trying to replenish his hand. He could, I guess, stick him at this 2-0 here, wherever he'd be safe from like a sniper or something. Yeah, and then wraps up his turn. So both players activate about the same amount of force, have about the same amount of force in hand, about the same amount of force on Lost Pile. They're pretty even all around here. Board control, both players threatening 2 damage, so I think we're pretty even now. This will be a big turn for Koen to see where else he sets up. If he's, I don't know if he's going to pick a fight in space. That's going to be pretty tough, because Rebellion's Hope adds Destiny to Power Attrition, and this adds Destiny Power. That is a pretty potent 3-card space. Mike loses Escape Pod kind of from hand. That's not going to come into play really this game in a clash from off the top. Koen drops Jakku, so he'll probably go to space now to prevent paying for force drains going forward. We got a nice AI finalizer for -4, so 13 minus 9 is 4. Probably going to see PV or Hux here for a use pile pull. I think they both do the pulls, right? No, PV doesn't, just Hux. Yeah, I see Dan asking about, there are plenty of retro, if you're interested in the Retro League, which also has its deadline today, $10 to sign up for all 5 events for the year. It's pretty sweet prizes for that. There's plenty of decks posted for those, well, I shouldn't say all of them, definitely for the Premier to Hoth, there's a handful. For the one, we're doing a couple different ones in the middle of the year, this year with Premier to Endor, but this time it's going to include EJP and ECC, which it didn't last year. Premier to Cloud City Modified, which hopefully is a little less oppressive. That's a new format that we're going to try out for the Retro League. And then Premier to Death Star 2 and Premier Reflections 2 with OBS band and Watch Your Step band, which those are same as last year, and those shouldn't be too hard to find decks for. If anyone else watching is interested, that's the 2024 Retro League. It'll be the 3rd time around. And that's run by Steve Sanders. He's a great guy, very, very organized with everything. I'm actually going to, probably after this game, add all the players who signed up to the league, which I already set up for event number 1, which is Premier to Hoth. Back in the OG days, I signed up. I'll be playing like I did last year. All right, so Pride comes out. He flips now, and then he also gets a, oh wait, no, Pride doesn't. I'm getting all my map leaders mixed up. Pride does not get a pull. It's Hux, Kylo, Phasma, and Snoke. Here comes Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I guess that's kind of thematic, right? Was Thrawn around this time, in theory? And there's kind of a clash of cannons there. But, yeah, Gempy signups, highly recommend Retro League, Teemo. Yeah, there's not a lot of players. I think the first year there were some more, but last year there was not a ton of kind of players who dabble in all formats, like myself, Teemo, Tommy, Lodgepog, La Poca Live. He did it. Brad Kipple always does it. Meaning these are players who are very active in the Retro League and also very active in other formats like Open and Sealed and everything. So I know like Ryan Jellison did the first year. He's master of many different formats. But, stuff is busy. People have different priorities year to year, month to month, really. But always good to see people play a wide variety. So yeah, just plugging stuff there. But towards the end of the turn, yeah, we saw that Koen stacked Force Push. That's good, so he'll be able to play that, even though he top decked it earlier, and he's now flipped. So no retrieval for Light Side, which, again, I guess he's really only going to have Walkling. It seems like the only one right now. There might be some other stuff in the bag, but Koen just tosses the shuttle and loses a extra copy of Kylo. Master of the Knights of Ren off the top. Master Yoda deployed on the battleground. It looks like he has one because there's not the verified didn't pop yet. Quick plug that Kylo Master of the Knights of Ren is the event winner foil for all event winner AI foil, I should say, for all 2024 events. So leagues are starting up. Every event in each league, there's about probably 14, 15 leagues. If you win an event, you get a Kylo AI foil. If you finish the top 4 of a major, you get one. If you win a side event at a major, you get one. It's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet one. It's border breaking. Graphics team did a great job with that. As we see, the other Theed site comes out, the V version, which, while Qui-Gon Communing set doesn't come into play, Dark Jedi Power +1, Power +2 here. So out comes Mace. So now Mike is going to start being able to, or in theory, unless he gets contested, pay for, or not have to pay for drains. Bosch didn't move over. I guess last turn, didn't he? Did he not have, I thought he had some force saved. Yeah, he couldn't move Bosch over to block that. I guess now he's stuck. Never mind, because if he were to move over, then Koen just moves over. Good old undercover spy rules. So yes, now he's kind of in a pickle there where it's not even worth spending the force to move just to make Koen use a force when, so his objective retrieves. I highly recommend that thing is wildly popular. Yeah, the Kylo AI is really sweet. Top 4 Swiss, yeah, I know. Robbie was quite sad, top 4 Saturday. Yeah, we had that come up last year where it was like, and I think it's like a kind of an homage, because the people on Sunday, if you finish the top 4 on Sunday, you're getting more cash. But if you finish the top 4 in the Swiss event in majors, I think it's like a small consolation prize to be like, you're definitely getting the Kylo AI, but you might end up with, top 8 money, or you might end up with like 8th place money instead of 4th place money, even though you did. So that was a conscious decision. Last year, I think there was some ambiguity on it. I think B-Fred was the one that brought it up, I think, because I think he might have been in the, maybe finished top 4 in Swiss, but not on day 2, and I figured we have a policy. So as we see 3PO come out, it's funny. Some of these AI slips, a lot of people really, really like them, and some people it means nothing to them. So in a way, they usually make their way around to the people that want them, either via trades or even, like, I feel like I've seen Hayes do that a bunch, where he just like hands it to like B-Fred. He doesn't really care for that stuff, but other people do. Which reminds me of, speaking of prizes and stuff, I just dropped off this morning the Raltier regional kit. So that's a plug if you're in Germany and somehow you haven't been aware of that event quite yet. It's next Saturday. I know Timo's in the chat. He's going. He had a bunch of prizes in this prize package that I sent with the regional kit, and then I sent a bunch of like accrued prizes for all European players, because I know Kevin's going. So like Silverglenn's stuff is in there. I'm sure that'll make it. I don't think Silverglenn's going to it, but Kevin will probably get it to it. As we see, the Turn It Off was stacked, so that'll, if Koen wishes, he could play another shield at some point. And he still has one more from the starting effect. Mike can start cycling stuff with 3PO, start getting the right stuff in his hand. And Mace there with no saber. I guess he can't find it, or it was in the force pile. Can you decrease the size of the screen? Camino fell. Oh, sorry everyone. I don't know how that happened. Whoa. Oh boy. Oh god. Thanks. Sorry everyone. I don't know how that happened. Maybe just as things. Do people not see the Yoda shot the whole time? Alright, I apologize. There's always something that goes wrong. Weapon left shield comes out. Yeah, you know what I could do? Maybe what I did was, maybe when I changed we changed the orientation of the GEMP screen. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Alright, sorry everyone. Hopefully that's better. As we see, the Draina Jakku, Hear Me Baby was played by Mike. So that's how he played the Weapon Life Shield. Were you looking for me from use pile? Hear Me Baby from use pile. So 2 cards I'm pretty sure Mike knows were in that use pile that he deemed that he does not, that aren't critical, that are the lesser of 2 evils to lose. Hopefully everyone sees it. Yeah. No saber's going to be rough if Aura comes down. Yeah, Cedric has a package in that prize. I blame Jared's Mac. No, you know what? It's anytime like the screen changes, then like the OBS changes it too. All right. Whoa. All right, everyone. Sorry. Hang on. Don't worry. I'm bringing it back. That's what happens. I got to practice. I haven't streamed as much in a while. Okay, let's do this. I think this will be optimal. As we Kit Fisto and Padme both top decked by Mike. There we go. Okay, everyone should see everything now. Let me shift this down a little bit, and then I'm not going to touch anything else. Yeah, the top's cut off a little bit, so let's do that. Okay, all right. Sorry everyone for the little rigmarole. Anakin is the agent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my MacBook doesn't like when Dan talks ill of it. And I guess my picture, not that, I don't know if you guys are able to see the light force counts either, but let me make me a little smaller so you can see the light side counts potentially. No one needs to see me. Um, Alright, so now Koen's going to play force push off of his objective. He's got a pretty sizable force pile there to find a key card. Right now both players are just pushing through 2 damage apiece. Again, 25 to 23 in favor of Koen for cards face down. Koen also has one more card in his hand. And Mike has some more cards in lost pile, but of course that doesn't matter quite as much as what is all in your hand and life force to work with. Alright, so Koen makes a decision here on what to do. One more thing about the Retro League is I'll try to insert it as the action is slow and not, well, there's actually like something exciting happening. So a lot of you guys are probably, I'll make my screen bigger. We got more Hyperroute navigation promo charts. These are more so geared for retro players, but they're pretty cool. They're basically every system during the Decipher era except Episode 1 systems. So I included a bunch of these in the Route to Regional kit. They're pretty neat. We've been doing different iterations of these, and they're cool backer card, cool separator card in your deck box. But everyone in the Retro League is going to get one of them, and then we'll give them out. Ideally they're given out as events are happening as a form of promotion. All right, so Koen is putting the pressure on here. He comes down with Aflac, or Aflac as I like to call him, 9s, and Captain Phasma, so he gets to use... Oh, why no use pile pull? Did I miss something? Why didn't he pull with Phasma? Someone in the chat can maybe tell me why not. This is one of the updated images. Here comes First Strike. So Mike has 2-4 saved here. Oh, thank you. Yep, that was an errata from a while ago. That you don't get to use pile pull if it's not an Episode 7 site, or Episode 7 Battleground, right? So Dr. E comes down. Doesn't, just, I guess, for power and forfeit, really, because there's no weapon, really, that's going to hit Mace unless he's got, like, a... Could he have one of these 7s tracked? Even then, I think this is just straight greater than defense value. Yeah, so, alright, so First Strike kicks in. Mike has aim high out, so Koen is going to pay the force, retrieves a Kylo. Mike owes him a force here, so we get our first battle of the game. He potentially, I mean, he's got the dodge. He placed out to play one of the comm scan detection, right? None of these guys prevent, like, reacting away. So Mike could do that. And if not, he's probably going to need a Hoojix with Koen getting 3 Battle Destinies here and already outpowering him by 12. Of course, all these deck lists are going to be posted once the event concludes, and then all the Atlanta Major, aka the Supreme Southern Showdown, all of those deck lists will be posted. In theory, in like 3 days, the Outrider Cup is supposed to conclude all its games by Sunday. Might not happen. All right, we have. They're checking us. V was tossed. Tries to fire. He draws a 1. Koen plays Sith Fury to take it into hand, and he fails. So he gets Snoke. So that'll be helpful, I guess, for subsequent turns. His hand is down to 5. And we'll see here. Is Mike... Yeah, it seems like Mike's going to need a Hoojix, right? Or he's going to be peeling a decent amount. 5. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be peeling some. It's just a matter of how much. Or unless he has the Hoojix, of course. Which will cost a force with First Strike, but he's got 2, so he should be okay there. I guess the question will be is if he places a Mace out of play and then gets the added benefit of Communing. Maybe not. He's probably planning to play another Mace. And, oh yeah, of course, we have that text kick in because where there's a First Order leader, light side needs to pay 1 or lose 1 to draw Battle Destiny. Mike pays the 1, draws a 4, so he's going to be able to knock off somebody here. Dark wins battle, so Koen can retrieve a Trooper, but maybe knows there isn't any in. Dr. E goes to forfeit. So yeah, Yeah, 11 more battle damage. So presumably the Hujix here, especially because yeah, Mike lost escape pod combo from hand earlier, so he knew that. I'm sure Koen knew that as well, that he had the Hujix in his hand. So light side now cleared off the ground. We'll see what Mike's plan next turn is. Koen doesn't. He draws 1 card, saves 3. And then Applek is, I think, the only virtual maintenance card right now. Is that right? Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think he's the only active maintenance card. That's a V card. Yeah, interesting question on the Hujix. Maybe not. Maybe if Mike gets in position to be able to retrieve the Hujix. He already burned his Unita V. So if Koen gets worried, I don't want that Hujix coming back. If Mike gets on a second battleground and also to satisfy Coward, and then also flips him back by putting Anakin at a site or somehow clears off Koen off of 2 battleground locations, then maybe Koen would play Secret Plans or regret not grabbing it, put it that way. But it's probably going to get buried before Mike is in position to get it back. Yeah, Mace number 2, if he comes down, he could swing, and then, of course, with this game text, send somebody to use pile. He's got I think the Clash was top decked. I mean, he could try to counterbeat here. He's got 4 cards in reserve. Mike forces through the drain at 2, and Koen loses Steadfast off the top, and Dofeld Mataka, who's a Destiny 6, right? So I wonder if when Koen fired at Mace, if he thought there was any chance he was actually going to hit him, or if he was just kind of like trying to move Destiny. And he was able to use the Fury to replenish his hand with a character with Snoke. But I don't know how many of these he's playing, how many of these 7s. But even if he hit, I don't think this doesn't reduce forfeits, so that really wouldn't have done much, right? Maybe if he had like a wounded warrior, right? It's the card that makes him power 0. Something like that. Oh yeah, good point in the chat, James, that 9s has this game text where you can cancel an opponent's lightsaber weapon destiny or automated weapon destiny in case timer mines ever come back. Those would be fun. Alright, so Anakin goes down, which causes the flip backs and sees the resistance agent. Goes to the other Naboo site. We see Sand come out. They're tracking us, and Jedi Lev, so 2 4s get stacked. 2 cards that, ironically, you can't play the cancel redraw if you pluck the card off Sand, and you can't, or this wouldn't really do anything for you, the add or subtract if Sand is plucked. So it's kind of interesting that these cards would, if you pluck them in the middle of battle, they don't really have much help, put it that way, in that same battle. Alright, and now we have Rey. This was a recent errata, right? That Communing now, you may not search your use pile, period. So that's the second part of the clause here. You may not deploy Jedi with Communing or search use pile. So Rey tones down the potency of Rey in this deck, and of course Rey's still so good, especially with the synergy, with the peak, still includes Rey even without that, which pretty reasonable take here. Let's see, design thinking, keeping down timer mines. Big drains coming in. Yeah, so Mike definitely make a decision. I can't just try to do my own thing and sit back and take a drain of, 3, and 2, right? This is a drain of 3 because Finalizer adds 1. No, I'm thinking of Chirnu. Unless your resistance agent here. So if the Finalizer adds 1 to the drain, yeah, so it would have been 2, 2, 3. And looks like Mike's not going to be able to get, Ultimatum out. So, yeah, so it's still 5. I mean, it's not like he's got, mitigating things, it could be worse. That's not going to come into play, with only having 1 saved at least. Doubt he's got, a control. Mike's probably going to eat a pretty big drain here. He's down to 17 down and 9, so that's 26, and Koen's at 30. But it looks like that's basically going to stretch out to, 30 to 21, if I'm doing all my math right. And board position definitely favors Koen, and that Mike is on his back foot here, and that Koen can battle. I guess it'll be interesting what happens at Jakku with Sand out. Mike getting the power and attrition destiny. Last dark side shield. Oh, sorry, the logo's covering it up. Let me move the logo down. I don't think any dark side characters are going to Yoda's hut. It is Secret Plans. Good question, Timo. Hey, this is why it's good to have a chat, so you guys can call out stuff like this. So when someone's watching on replay, they're not going to be completely in the dark. Again, apologize for that earlier thing where some of the stuff to the right was cut off. All right, so drain of 3 at the generator core. Mike loses resistance transport from hand. I'm going to try to do this image spoiler very soon because I know we're getting towards at least the middle, if not towards the end of this game. Don't want to save it for the very end. Escape pod combo, is that a second copy or did he get it back somehow? Qui-Gon Jinn, Serene Jedi, top decked. And now 2 at the forest. And loses Sorry About the Mess from the top. Anakin's Lightsaber V off the top. Mike is now getting pretty low on cards face down, so of course that'll start constraining what he can do with each turn in terms of how much can you deploy, how much can you save for Destiny, how much can you save for the opponent's turn. It's starting to get some of the squeeze where Koen's not really in that spot right now. He's got a lot more down, and Mike is only threatening 2 damage. I'm thinking Koen probably I doubt he runs away with Finalizer. He probably reinforces. 2 attrition destinies plus a normal battle destiny could add up in terms of depleting through Koen's immunity and his pilots, because this is immune less than, 10 right now? No, 5. He doesn't have PV out. PV is the one that makes it less than 8, and less than 10 at a Episode 7 system, if I remember correctly. But, if Mike draws basically 3 destinies, he probably can crack 10, and then he's definitely killing at least 2 pilots, maybe even 3. Depending on how he just lost his resistance transport off the top, so maybe he has a second copy in his hand. But he lost it from hand, so he probably has a second one. Is that what Dan is saying? He lost. Yeah, if he lost it from hand, he probably has another. Because I don't know if it starts getting to. We saw Steadfast go off the top for Koen. He also lost the shuttle from hand, so I wonder if that has some value as a line here for Mike to just try to spread and keep running in space or keep chasing. He might be chasing with R2 and the Falcon, and maybe starts trying to threaten drains at Starkiller Base with the resistance transport, or that's hyperspeed 3, so it can go 147 or parsecs here. Let's see. Still not much happened since the force drain loss. So P59 comes down, so we're gonna have a fight here. I got a first strike swing, and that's gonna start wearing. So this is starting to look pretty good for Koen. And he would then bring the total to 5-3. In case anyone's not familiar, so again, this is the 3rd iteration. The first one, the U.S. won. I think they won. I think there was a game or 2, or maybe even 3 that weren't played towards the end. If Shaw's in chat, he might remember. I think he might have been one of the games that wasn't played. But once the U.S. clinched, I don't think every game was played. The second one went to a tiebreak, went to 6-6, and the captains played a tiebreak match, which is on the YouTube channel. Check that out, between Bastion and Joe. Pretty high stakes. Again, this event is mostly fun, but some bragging rights and some pretty cool prizes on the line for the winner versus and the hoodies, and the participants all get something, some cool stuff. But that was pretty cool. So then this one, once the U.S. gets to 7, in theory they clinch, but I hope that everyone plays out the games. Looks like they're all going to happen in a flurry here. We have 2 more later today. One's in 50 minutes at 11:30, as we see Aura and Mara. So lots of EPPs. My God, 3 EPPs at the generator core, or the generator V location. But yeah, hopefully everyone plays their games. I'll go through the schedule, I guess, towards the end, or maybe James or Dan are saying in chat. But I think there's one at 5 p.m. Eastern today, which I think is Justin, our bridge player, playing against who's it? I could check real quick as this battle starts. Versus Beefred, and then Hayes and Emil are playing tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, first strike swing. Koen gets Dofeld Mataka back, and Mike loses R2D2 from reserve decks. That would have been nice to have a 7. Would have been +1 to total with Rey, 8, so would have knocked off 2 of these characters, presumably. And Koen's going to target Rey, and he's going to hit, unless he's got the Handle Myself interrupt to cancel it. That was instant classic of the game. Chasing Finalizer, yeah. So this would be this is the, what do you call it, grudge match or rubber match to settle But I mean, this event, I participated in the second one, and it seems by all accounts, all spectators, organizers, obviously the players, a lot of the community, I think it has a pretty cool appeal. It's very attractive, as a good carrot for people to play well and accrue Player of the Year points. Participate. So, pride in playing for it. And the format's really good. The first year we did a little differently, tweaked it a little bit based on feedback. The second year, and this is the same format as the second, loses it from hand. So why didn't he cancel it? What am I missing? Did he mean to play it, or is there some reason he can't cancel a Destiny that I'm not accounting for here? Like, why didn't he just play? Oh, because then you have to spend the force for it, which might be a factor. Um, but yeah, he lost 2 force because of it, right? Yeah. So you would, yeah, there's a lot, all these pings. The first strike ping, he's gonna have to use or lose a force. I guess now he's not gonna be able. He's gonna have to lose a force to draw a Battle Destiny now. Um, yeah, so Mike's got a lot of economics to battle here between spending force for interrupts, spending force or losing force to draw, losing force with P59. This is where all this stuff really adds up, and then you got all these potential Destiny modifications. Does he pull the sand card or not? Of course, sand is a couple extra cards that Mike's presumably going to funnel back into his hand in life. Oh yeah, thank you for correcting me. So yeah, so he doesn't have to lose. He does not have to use or lose a force to draw, and then for 2 reasons. One, he's on the 0 side, and even if he was on the 7, there's no first order leader there. So thank you, chat, for correcting that. Mike does pluck a card off sand. He takes they're tracking us. Aura missed. He fired at Anakin with Aura, right? Yeah. He could have gone for Ray, which would have been a little easier to hit, and then he kills the forfeit, right? Maybe he doesn't have enough destinies probably to do it. So that's interesting with the swings and yeah, and Koen of course is balancing all the saving force for destinies and weapon destinies. So Darkseid wins the battle by 4. There's gonna be no overflow. Won a battle at same or related location. So he could retrieve a trooper if there were any, but there's so few troopers now. I remember a while ago, for Map used to play like the 9 unique troopers. Or what about was it Nines? Is that his name? What's the dude who cancels the game text? Why can't I think of his name? We used him for the PC20 event. The one who cancels the game text. Isn't he pretty good? I've never played Map, but all right. So Ray goes. Attrition goes down, so Anakin stays, which means that, yeah, Koen runs away. Mike will be able to get a free drain through here. Mike plays, they're tracking us to activate. So he kind of had that in his hand, although that would have been like a net 0 if he played it in the battle, because he would have to pay a force to use it just to activate it. So obviously now in the move phase it makes more sense to use. Oh, he took it off sand. Yeah, good call, Garrett. All right, so as we have the move phase here, I'll do the spoiler here. So this is going to be the AI for the Eclipse event, for the Ithor regional Eclipse event. Again, I think it's the second weekend in April, first full weekend I want to say. Ithor is like mid-March, like March 16th or 17th. 16th I think it is. And then Ryloth I think is early April. But it's going to be Corellia V. It is a awesome location. It's made by our graphics member Cedron, who has done an awesome job with planets. He does Coruscant V, Darkseid AI, which was a donor foil. He's done the Darkseid Scarif, which is awesome. He's done the Coruscant Jedi Temple, which hopefully gets played more because it's not really a played card, but it's a beautiful image, and we're going to use it probably on a playmat. But yeah, if you all watch your Step fans, this will go right in. It also, one of the benefits we talked about is that, like the Tatooine Episode 1 system, which is like this, where you don't see the whole system, it's not like a centered, smaller image. It's like a zoomed in one, so it gels with the Tatooine, which potentially will be right next to each other a lot of times on the table. So it'll flow. It doesn't look kind of out of place. I think it looks beautiful. But yeah, so that is the image. Let me hide that to get back to the action. Maybe I'll show it again at the end, but definitely wanted to make sure not to show it. Master Yoda. So Mike used the Master Yoda game text to retrieve a force. He got Ray back, which he can then track around 3PO, which is exactly what he's doing right now. And Koen, of course, had to pay Applex maintenance. Hux is going to upload FN. That's the guy I'm thinking of. And we used him for the PC20 event because he's got a 20 in his thing. And we had the cool PC20 stamp. Yeah, this guy. So he still played. So yeah, Hux can upload him. And then should he get to the lost pile and should Koen win another battle, he could retrieve him. But I think that's happened twice now where, or maybe Aim High came into play. I feel like he's had 2 or maybe even 3 chances to retrieve a trooper and didn't. But I'm sure there was a good reason for it. Probably because it wasn't in the lost pile. All right, Mike probably just uploads Ray, so now we can drop Ray back down. He's now at, what are we at? 14 versus 22. So Mike's down 8. They have the same amount of cards in hand. Board control looks like it favors Koen a little bit, or maybe not a little bit, a lot. This is a big turn for Mike. He's gonna have to change the math here in this turn 6 for him. So yeah, so it looks like people liked the Corellia V AI. And then I do want to mention, too, because I know not everyone can go to every single major. And this one, obviously, we have 3 different options for this AI. 2 things. One, if you're a volunteer in any capacity, like I know our decklist team, they spend a lot of time helping with all these majors. I usually, or I always, I think, try to remember to give them the event foils as a thank you. If you help with other stuff, there's always different ways to help, even from remote commentary, like Garrett and Dan just did for the Atlanta event. I'm going to get them foils if I haven't already. That type of stuff. So that's ways. And then, of course, Kevin is wonderful, and Scott, I always end up with extras, and then we try to cycle them back through various ways. It's not like always a straight shot of do this and get this, or do X and get Y, but usually there's always extras that are floating around. And there's also a lot of people that go to the events, like I said before, like that just don't care for them, so you can trade with them to get the particular thing. So we try to balance it, of make it very attractive and quote-unquote exclusive, but also make it something that people can acquire in some means. All right, so Ray comes down, she gets barriered. Or no. Force drain. Koen loses Sith Fury off the top, Imperial Command off the top. Ray comes down, break cover. So good decision there late in the game, because now presumably Koen might not have as many options or resources to now attack Bosch, whereas earlier in the game she would be more of a liability. Now she's actually now threatening a drain of 2, right? Isn't this? No. I'm thinking of the Chewie, Finn, and Han. Alright, let's see. What are people saying in the chat? Let me get caught up here as Mike goes to his... He's still in his deploy phase. Gem PC up to 122. Graphics team rocking it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Richcraft, that's his player card. Virginia guy. He loves Watch Your Step. Sell my kidney one. Expected running total time. Gem PC, the Radis one. Yeah, I showed that before. Maybe I'll show that at the end. I have it right here. When I make my camera a little bit bigger. Clips of Vetter can vouch. Chowder's been getting good. Goglin. Yes, I noted them. I think I wrote that down. I did. Yeah, I distinctly remember in my spreadsheet. I put SSS space V for the 4 remote streamers and for the 3 deckless people team. Schnorbus boxes vouch for this. Okay. Yeah, volunteering is a great way to get swag. I think in the grand scheme of things, we are very appreciative when people volunteer and do stuff, and some swag sent your way is a very, very worthwhile trade-off for us. All right, so we got move phase. Qui-Gon Jinn came down, Serene Jedi. R2 chased at Camino, as well as the Falcon. So that's going to block that. So now Koen's only threatening drain at 2. Mike, that was a big turn for Mike to just cover up these drains and have some type of credible force, but Koen could now battle in 3 different locations, and we'll see what he does. We'll see what tricks Mike has, but he's got no force saved. So that means no battle tricks, unless maybe he's got they're tracking us that he could play at some point, but he doesn't have anything now. So we'll see. Obviously Mike did what he had to do there. I don't think there was a better option, but the onus now is to see. He's challenging Koen to see what he can come up with if he's got the cards or got the answers, and makes the right decisions here to take it home. Now he played it, Bill. He took it, and then didn't he play it at the end of the last turn? Yeah. So unless he's got this, he's probably a second copy floating around somewhere. But so it's possible he's got another one, but yeah, he played it and then spent that force for secret plans. Yeah, no. I'm going to write down so I don't forget, just to double check that the SSS volunteers. I'm pretty sure I denoted for the four remote commentary people and the 3 decklist people. But you can never be too safe. So he does have 1 in his hand, so he activates the force. Okay. So now, I wonder if there was some consideration there of, hey, do I hold this back to kind of, maybe Koen makes some decisions based on no force being saved, and then Mike, sandbags it until like the deploy phase, perhaps. Definitely doesn't want to sandbag it to the battle phase, because then he might be in a pickle of not actually having. It wouldn't be helpful then. 3PO got a card. Yeah, I'm sure Mike is tracking certain stuff to whatever extent possible. He played it in his. On this turn, no. Mike loses Jedi left from use pile, disarmed from hand. This is no weapons, yeah, for light side, seemingly. Maybe sandbag's the wrong word. Maybe I'm thinking of like rope-a-dope. Like the boxing move. Alright. Snoke comes out. So this is going to be a use pile pull. And a choice of 5 different cards. So presumably here is going to be another first. This is definitely probably the most appealing location to battle. Koen has 8-4 saved in his reserve deck, in case anyone's wondering. So he can pick multiple battles and still have the amount of destinies for weapons and battle destinies and the like. Yeah, the Snoke ping 2, which I feel like Joe Olsen has said many times that Snoke is really bad, but this was like Matt. I feel like really likes this of which lots of pings. I mean, you could ping with if you didn't have the Kylo effect out, that pings. P-59 we saw obviously first strike. The objective can potentially ping. Snoke pings. There's probably 1 or 2 other things that happen. Yeah, just kind of like a body. Besides the ping effect here, just a body. Here comes ooh. So this now means he can relocate Kylo, which is exactly what he's doing, for 3 force to the same location as the Resistance agent. So that's going to be here. Okay. So now this is what, 3 battle destiny and a swing. So this might be game here. He's probably going to be able to put through some pretty decent overflow, and by all accounts, that Hujix is still buried pretty far in Mike's lost pile, right? Yeah, and that's... What am I missing about... This was a free battle. Free battle. Who initiates battles for free? Right? So yeah, he could just really, even just like battle... Well, probably not. I was going to say, just like use the first strike as like a weapon. Swings both ways. Anakin, yep, thank you. Thank you, duh. One of the oldest V cards we have. Set 0. Hey, something with the coding changed. I remember EBT did this, where it used to just be automatic, but I think the ruling is it's optional whether you initiate battle for free. Players may initiate battles here for free, so yeah, that's probably how it's always been. There's no errata here. But Jemp used to automatically do it, just figuring that you always want to battle for free, but technically the rule is you could choose to pay if you want. Alright, so Weapon Destiny, Kylo swings at Anakin, and that's going to hit, and that's going to ping only Mike, right? Because this says you lose no force to Kylo or Kylo's lightsaber. Kylo's lightsaber says both players lose a force normally, so this is going to be a ping for Mike. That reminds me, Kylo Ren's lightsaber, the foil slip of this is the current tournament report writing foil slip. So if you write a tournament report, you get that foil slip and you get a blue poker chip, and Large Porg coming here live from Boston. He is now the stamper. He's helping me out by doing. I still read them when I can, but I feel a little less pressure to read them as timely. So he's going through, he's stamping, he's letting me know that, hey, basically, is this tournament report more than like 3 paragraphs and worthy of the swag? So yeah, lots of great tournament reports. As I should get back to the action here. All right, so Anakin definitely hit 4-0. We pinged. Michael lost grappling hook from reserve deck. Nines is gonna fire and fail with the hit. With what was that? Fire at nines with Ray. Draws a 4, and then he draws another one. Why did he draw? Oh, that's just Battle Destiny. Okay, so he draws a 7. So this is not looking good for Mike. This 4-0 on Anakin. That's probably the game here. We get Darkseid wins battle again. He could retrieve with Phasma, and he's peeling, and that's going to be the game. Okay. Okay, so good game to both players. So Koen brings us to 5-3 in favor of USA. Yeah, well played by Koen there to drive home. That turn 7 for him was pretty strong, pretty tactical. He got the use pile pull, probably a key card here. Maybe he pulled Mitaka for all we know. But yeah, well played both players. So nice game, under an hour. Thanks everyone in the chat. Let me just do a quick, I'll show you guys, now that I can make my camera a little bit bigger and not obscure the action. So here I am. And then yeah, just one more reminder, GemPC signups end today. This is the Radis foil AI. Really cool foil slip. All participants will get one. And then I was showing this is the, I'll call it like the retro one, the retro hyper chart promo card. And it's got, you know, a bunch of our social media stuff on here. So all retro players get this, and then we're going to start be integrating. I still have a lot of the version 3, which is more like open driven. So yeah, they're just all distributed. I know Brandon Beatty asked for them. I'm going to just keep trying to drop them in different places and different regions to use them. Just a quick heads up. Koen says, thanks, no lightsabers, makes it tough. Thanks, I had the TTU the turn I played Bosch. Total brain fart. Okay, so that's why Bosch got stuck, and that was pretty big. And Mike says, I hate this deck now since the Ray change. So, yeah, since Ray can no longer do the use pile pulls. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even mention this. These guys are teammates. They're both on Team New Allies. So ever since New Allies went global, and they expanded into, I think they got a bunch of Dutch players. I know Koen is on it. I know Fox, Stefan, and Eric is also on New Allies. I'm not sure how many other European players the chat may be correct. But yeah, then I'll just show the Corellia V one more time here at the end, if I can stop touching things with the screen here, in case anyone missed it. Here is the AI for upcoming majors. I'm now moving me around. I don't know why my mouse is like sticky like that. Okay, all right. Thanks everyone for participating. And we got 4 more matches. One that's going to be starting in about 32 minutes. I think Joe Olson's going to be covering that, so probably at twitch.tv/arebelspy. Check Slack, check Discord in case that changes. But that is all I have. All right, everyone, take care. May the force